I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The moment her lawyer walked into my office, cold as ice, with a thick envelope in his hand that would change everything. The way he slammed the papers on my desk, his eyes full of that smug confidence like he already had me beaten before the fight even began. I swallowed hard, fighting the shock that threatened to paralyze me. Divorce papers. Signed, sealed, and ready to rip apart the life I thought we had built together. But I wasn't going down without a fight. No. This wasn't going to be just another story where the husband crumbles and disappears. I had something they never expected, something that made her lawyer's face turn pale, the color draining like a slow, terrible ghost. They thought they had the upper hand, that I was already broken, but I was about to hand them a surprise so big it would shake the foundation of everything they believed. Before I get into the heart of what happened next, if you love stories full of drama, betrayal, and wild twists, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss a single moment of this roller coaster. Back to that day. The room was silent except for the soft rustling of papers and the occasional sharp intake of breath. Her lawyer looked at me and said, with the kind of cruel satisfaction only someone delivering bad news can muster, "These are the divorce papers. Sign, and this nightmare will finally be over." You don't even know the half of it. Filled with cold fury, locked onto mine from across the room. I could see her jaw clench as she stared, realizing this was no ordinary meeting. I slid the envelope across the desk. The lawyer hesitated, then opened it carefully. Inside were letters, photographs, and documents, evidence of things they never thought I'd find, things that made the whole divorce case look like a fairy tale compared to the truth. The tension in the room was electric. Her lawyer's face went from smug to pale, and for a moment, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. The kind of fear that says, "This changes everything," not by a long shot. As they sifted through the evidence, I felt a surge of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Hope that the truth would finally come out. That the lies, the betrayal, and the pain wouldn't just disappear quietly behind a signature on a piece of paper. This was only the beginning. After that explosive moment in the office, everything came rushing back. The memories of how we got here, tangled and torn apart by lies no one saw coming. At first, it was like any other love story. The sparks, the dreams, the promises whispered in the dark. But beneath all that, cracks were forming, little fractures that grew until everything shattered. I remember the early days so clearly, how her laughter filled the room like sunshine, how I thought she was the one person I could trust. But love isn't always enough. Sometimes it's the lies in the shadows that do the most damage. It started small, little white lies about where she was, who she was with. I told myself it was nothing, just nerves, just stress. But then the secrets got bigger. Late nights away, missed calls, strange texts that I wasn't meant to see. The feeling of being left out, like I was on the outside looking in. I confronted her once. "Why won't you just tell me the truth?" I asked, voice shaking with hurt. She looked at me like I was crazy, then walked away without a word. That was the moment everything started to unravel. I found out she was hiding more than just the truth. She was hiding a whole other life. Affairs, secret bank accounts, whispered conversations behind closed doors. And worst of all, she was planning the divorce long before she handed me those papers. Every betrayal was a knife in my back. But I stayed silent, pretending to be the man who didn't care. Because if I showed weakness, they would have won. Her lawyer thought I was defeated, but I was only gathering strength. I needed to understand every detail, every lie, every secret to prepare my next move. I spent nights digging through old emails, texts, and financial records. I followed the trail of deception like a bloodhound. And what I found was more than just betrayal. It was a calculated plan to take everything from me. The pain of it all was suffocating. I wasn't just losing my wife, I was losing my home, my reputation, and my sense of self. But even in the darkest moments, a fire burned inside me, a refusal to be a victim. I wasn't going to let her rewrite our story to make me the villain. No, I had my own truth to tell, and it was about to come crashing down on them like a thunderstorm. The divorce papers were just the beginning of a war I was ready to fight. Just when they thought the game was theirs to win, I dropped the bombshell that changed everything. That old envelope I handed her lawyer wasn't just some forgotten keepsake. It was a treasure trove of secrets nobody expected me to find. And inside, There was one revelation so shocking, it left the entire room frozen. I remember the moment her lawyer's hands trembled as he unfolded a yellowed letter. The ink faded, but the words clear. It was a confession, not from me, not from her, but from someone from her past, someone tied to a web of lies that reached far beyond our broken marriage. This letter exposed a betrayal deeper than infidelity. It revealed a hidden truth about her family, a scandal she had buried to protect herself, a secret that could ruin reputations, destroy alliances, and turn the tide of the divorce in my favor. Her face drained of color as she read it. The confident woman who walked in ready to destroy me was suddenly vulnerable, unsure. Her lawyer looked at me, disbelief flashing in his eyes. "Where did you get this?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "I did my homework," I said, a cold smile creeping across my face. "Turns out you can't bury everything forever." What started as a simple divorce meeting became a battlefield where the truth was my strongest ally. Her lawyer tried to argue, to dismiss the evidence, but I stood firm. I wasn't just defending myself, I was exposing a betrayal that cut through the heart of everything she'd built. That day, I realized the power of truth. How one secret, hidden for so long, could turn the tables and leave even the fiercest opponent pale with fear. And I wasn't done yet. This revelation was only the first blow in a war that would shake the foundations of both our lives. The room felt like a battleground, every glance a challenge, every word a weapon. Her lawyer, once so confident, now fought desperately to keep control. I could feel the tension rising, thick and suffocating, like the air before a storm breaks loose. But I wasn't about to back down. Not now, not ever. "You can't win by hiding behind lies and secrets," I said, voice steady but sharp. "This fight isn't over, and I'm not the one who's scared." This was more than just a legal battle. It was a war of wills, a test of who would break first. Her eyes burned with rage as she stood behind her lawyer, the woman I once loved, now my fiercest adversary. The tension between us was electric, a dangerous dance of hatred and regret. As they tried to push me into a corner, I fought back with everything I had, my voice, my evidence, my unshakable resolve. Every fact I presented chipped away at their confidence. Every truth I revealed cracked their carefully built facade. I could see the cracks forming, the doubt creeping into their eyes. But they wouldn't give up easily. They threw every legal trick, every emotional jab they could muster. And I countered with something more powerful than law or anger: truth. The battle wasn't just about the papers on the desk. It was about justice, about reclaiming my life and dignity from the ashes of betrayal. In that room, time seemed to slow. Each moment stretched into a fight for survival, a test of endurance. I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was fighting for the future that had been stolen from me. When the dust finally settled, no one knew who had won, but I knew one thing for sure. I hadn't lost. This was just the beginning of a fight that would change everything. Just when I thought I had seen it all, the past resurfaced like a ghost haunting the room. Secrets buried deep in our families began to spill out, twisting everything in ways I never imagined. It was like opening a door to a dark, forgotten place, a place where old grudges, hidden lies, and painful memories lurked in the shadows. Her family had always seemed perfect on the outside, but beneath that polished surface lay fractures that ran deep. I learned things that shook me to my core, stories of betrayal, greed, and long-held grudges that no one wanted to talk about. And suddenly, the divorce wasn't just about us anymore. It was about the tangled history that bound our families together in ways neither of us could escape. One document after another revealed connections I had never suspected. There were secret deals, hidden debts, and even whispers of crimes covered up to protect reputations. The kind of dirt that, if exposed, would ruin lives. Her lawyer tried to steer the focus back to the divorce, but the truth was a tidal wave that couldn't be stopped. The walls they built to protect their lies began to crumble, and the truth spilled out like wildfire. I watched as her confident facade cracked, her proud posture faltering under the weight of the revelations. The woman who had once held all the power now seemed trapped by her own past. For me, it was both terrifying and freeing. Terrifying because the stakes were higher than I ever imagined. Freeing because the truth gave me a strength I never thought I had. These secrets were more than just gossip. They were the key to unlocking the whole story. The missing pieces in a puzzle that had haunted me for months. And with these pieces in hand, I knew I could fight back harder than ever before. The past wasn't done with us, but this time, I was ready. With the past unraveling and the stakes higher than ever, I knew it was time to take a risk, a desperate gamble that could either save me or destroy everything forever. The kind of move that only comes when you're backed into a corner and all your options are on the line. I gathered every shred of evidence, every secret, every hidden truth, and prepared to use it all as my final card. It was a dangerous game, playing with fire when so much was at stake. One wrong move, and I would lose not only the fight but everything I had left. The day I revealed my hand, the tension in the room was unbearable. Her lawyer's eyes flickered with fear, knowing that this gamble could unravel everything they thought was safe. I could see her too, her confidence shaking, her plans falling apart in real time. I stood tall and laid out my case, not just the facts, but the whole story behind them. I exposed the lies, the betrayals, the hidden deals, and the truth about her family's dark past. Every piece of evidence was a blow, and I delivered them with calculated precision. It wasn't just about winning the divorce anymore. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my future. The gamble was risky, but I had no choice. I was fighting not just for myself, but for the truth that needed to be told. There were moments when doubt crept in, when I wondered if I was risking too much, but the fire inside me wouldn't let me back down. I had come too far to lose now. Her lawyer tried to counterattack, but my move had shifted the battlefield. I had taken control, and suddenly, they were the ones on the defensive. That gamble, my desperate, bold move, was the turning point. It changed everything. And though the outcome was still uncertain, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to go quietly into the night. Just when it seemed the battle had reached its final page, I delivered a twist so unexpected it left everyone speechless. The courtroom was silent, the air thick with anticipation, as I unveiled the last piece of the puzzle, the final blow that nobody saw coming. This wasn't just another fact or another document. It was something personal, something that cut deeper than any legal argument ever could. A secret that changed the entire narrative, sealing my fate and theirs in one swift stroke. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Her lawyer's confident mask shattered, replaced by a pale, haunted expression. For the first time, the power shifted completely. I held the upper hand, not just in the divorce, but in our story. The story they thought they controlled. I revealed what I had kept hidden until the perfect moment. Proof that our marriage had been manipulated from the start, that her motivations weren't what anyone believed. It was a revelation that turned sympathy into suspicion, trust into doubt. The final twist was more than a surprise, it was a reckoning. I could see the shock ripple through the room like an electric current. This moment wasn't just about winning a legal battle anymore. It was about justice, redemption, and reclaiming my voice after being silenced for so long. As I sat back, watching the stunned faces around me, I realized this was more than just a fight for a piece of paper. It was the fight for my dignity, my truth, and my future. The final paper I handed them was not just any document. It was a signed confession from her, admitting to a secret scheme to cheat me out of everything. But that wasn't all. Buried inside was proof that she had orchestrated the entire divorce plan with a hidden partner. Someone close to me, someone I trusted more than anyone. The paper revealed financial fraud, secret offshore accounts in her name, and a plan to frame me for debts I didn't owe. It exposed how she had manipulated friends, lawyers, and even family to make me look like the villain, all to destroy my reputation and take full control of our assets. When her lawyer read it aloud, you could see the shock freeze the room. Her face went pale, the mask of confidence shattered forever. She had counted on silence, on me folding under pressure, but instead, I held the truth, and it was a weapon sharper than any legal argument. That moment was mine. I wasn't just fighting for a divorce anymore. I was fighting to reclaim my life from betrayal, lies, and greed. The paper sealed the deal. Her plan was exposed, her lies undone, and justice was finally on my side. She walked out that day defeated, knowing that this story would never be forgotten, and neither would I.